Now, the other option, probably the option I will love because I am just fed up and tired of your shit. Release DC. Warner Brothers, what is wrong with you? You know, all these reports, I don't think I've ever seen any company just get stockpiled on one bad report after another. You know, and to say that this is all entirely on you actually would not be a lie. What you've been doing to DC and all the fans of DC is horrendous, and I think, everything that you're getting right now is justified. Okay, so let's talk about it.
So we all thought that they were actually just interfering with what Zack Snyder has for his Snyderverse, but it seems like they've actually been interfering with every director's dream from the freaking 90s, right? Like, what the hell? Why are you killing these dreams that these directors are trying to put out? They obviously know what the fans want. They obviously know what the fans need. And yes, I 100% understand why you would take that stance against Zack Snyder, because even though I personally love Man of Steel, and I thought Batman vs Superman was meh, whatever it was, right? It was definitely the weakest of the trilogy thus far. But Justice League, Snyder's Justice League, that was freaking amazing. All right, and what you did to that alone was a crime. But we're not here to talk about just that. What I'm here to ask you, Warner Brothers, is to think about just who you're really going up against now. It's not really, you're not going against just Zack Snyder fans, although there are some that are just petitioning for the whole thing because it's Zack Snyder. But it's in reality Warner Brothers against DC fans in general, okay? And man, you don't understand. As someone who came from India and then watched all these Justice League, Superman, the Batman, the animated series in the early 2000s, because I wasn't here in the 90s. I was born in the 90s. I came here in the 2000s. But to catch up all those and to fall in love with the properties, you don't understand. Like, Superman is someone I actually look up to, right? Like, just his beliefs and everything, that is Superman to me. And although in Man of Steel, that Superman wasn't the Superman I know from comics, it was a twist that I had not really seen too much. So I actually really enjoyed it just for that cause. And it ended up that it was just part of his character development, which we saw in Justice League, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, mind you, where he's actually grown to be the Superman we all love. The one that I grew up watching on Justice League Animated and all those shows. So, Warner Brothers, here's like my personal take on it. And I hope someone please comes across this video to see it. There are ways you can really build your your universe with the Hamadaverse and satisfy DC fans in general. Okay, because the whole problem with you has been you've always been about the money that you will draw rather than the people you will please. Right? The reason why Marvel is the complete opposite of that is because although the money came, the originality of it, yes, every studio wants money, but they knew what they were putting out there. What they prioritized was something that the audience will love, because the money will, if you could bring in a crowd and they enjoy it, the money will continue to come. What you try to do instead was you just wanted that money. You wanted that Marvel money. You wanted that Avengers money with your own Justice League. Well, look how that panned out, right? And with this whole, and if anything, that's proven, even with all these failures, it's just the untouched potential that DC has if they get the movies correctly, right? Shazam was a good one. Aquaman, I thoroughly enjoyed it, right? I understand how some people don't like it because it's not a continuation of the Snyderverse, but I personally really enjoy the hell out of it. The action, I mean, come on, man, sharks with lasers, come on, can't beat that. But you have zero direction of where you're trying to go. And I don't understand why you don't just, what, the comics are there, but I will also point out the fact that the DC animated universe is one of the greatest out there. I'm not talking about just animation wise, I'm talking about, in terms of superhero continuity and everything. Man, from Justice League Flashpoint Paradox to, oh, well, it was in Justice League, but from the Flashpoint Paradox to the very end with the Apocalypse War, that was a joyride, right? And even I have friends that aren't even into superheroes, let alone cartoons, but they enjoyed watching those with me because the stories were actually compelling. The writing was great. The shots were great. The action was great. Everything was great. So that's where I get confused. You have literally one of the best universes and these creative people working on your animated projects. Why don't you take a chance of actually having them come to your live action and try to see if they can change anything up for you? Try to see if they can benefit. At this point, why not? Right? Everything you've been trying to do so far has been, yeah, some of it has been a success, but most of it has been a failure, right? So I don't understand why you don't just take someone from that creative team, and it doesn't even have to be every single person from that creative team. You could just take the person that was in charge of the whole story. Now, we had someone like that in Zack Snyder, and as I mentioned before, I understand each of his movies weren't exactly what any studio would expect, and some fans, like even myself, it wasn't the movies I wanted, but they weren't the movies I hated either, right? Because the guy obviously was going somewhere, so I wasn't ready to judge them one movie at a time because I could obviously see where Snyder was, although these movies are different, they're a continuation of the other, and so it's just one long story. And so I understood that, whereas a lot of people, a lot of critics don't, and I understand why they gave, the low reviews they gave, but man, at least he had a storyboard, he knew where he was going, and all you needed to do was believe in that man a little bit more. But instead, just because one of your movies failed. Now, people forget in Marvel, people forget how big of a failure Iron Man 2 was in terms of, did a lot of people like it? No, not really. Remember Thor 2? Or even Thor 1? Thor 1 was decent, but come on, man. Like, Thor wasn't Thor until Thor Ragnarok, right? That's the one everyone loved, and that's where his character completely changed from where they say, you know what, we could go ahead and do a little soft reboot in terms of his personality. We'll go this way. And they did that, and it was successful. You could have done the same thing if you just continued with Snyder's version, slowly changing the people you wanted to change. But even if you don't want Snyder to do it, don't force people to just get on here and accept Hamada and all these people coming along. Look, I am 100% waiting for Suicide Squad. I am 100% waiting for Black Adam, Shazam 2, and all those other projects you've announced, right? We're all excited. But that's what I'm saying. As a DC fan, the potential is untouched. We will love what we can get. And I'm not just a DC fanboy or a Marvel fanboy. I am a comic fanboy. I love comics. But I am very protective of the superheroes I love. And although I love Spider-Man just as much as I love Superman, Superman is the hero to me. And I'm sure Superman and Batman are the heroes to many, many people around the world. So look, if you're not going to continue the Snyderverse, and I understand you're not going to, or you don't want to at least, please, just start over. What I'm saying is keep the actors because you actually have that going for you. Everybody loves the casting of every superhero so far, right? We have nothing against the actors. Just start with new directors. Start with a complete new storyboard saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and go this direction. Hire somebody that knows their comics, just like Kevin Feige enough about Marvel to be passionate about it, and it shows in the movies. Just please find someone to be in charge of the DC universe. Okay? And I understand you're doing this whole multiverse thing right now, but I kind of feel like this is just your excuse of we don't know what the stories are going to be, how they're going to work out. We'll let that work out later. Let's just throw everything out the wall. That's the analogy you're all using, and we all see it. It's no secret, so no one's getting after you for that. All I'm saying is get someone that knows their comics, that knows the characters. Have them put out the storyboard, get along with the directors that want to come on and try to tackle that storyboard. Okay? It doesn't have to be anyone big. It doesn't have to be Christopher Nolan, for God's sake. It could be someone as small as, I don't know, someone that's worked on the animated series. Get them on board, have them work, and then trust the process, okay? I understand you're trying to play catch up with Marvel, but that ship is long gone. However people treat the new phases coming in Marvel, it's a clean slate. You do not have to go up against, Iron Man and those guys anymore. Now you're on an even playing field if you start anew. Or even if you want to go ahead and continue this Hamada universe, you can continue to do it. There's nothing wrong with it. All I'm asking is to find structure. And if you can find structure to connect all these movies that have come out thus far, then more power to you. But the problem is you're throwing away everything Snyder has done, not even acknowledging what he was trying to create. And what's that doing is basically separating the vision, and it's separating your fans, your profits. That's what it's doing. It's separating all that. And I understand it's a business, but all I'm saying is you don't know how to run your business. All right, and I know I'm not the only one with that belief.
Now, the other option, probably the option I would love because I am just fed up and tired of your shit. Release DC. DC, please establish a DC studio. If you don't want to release DC, leave the properties away to the people that care about it. Okay? Create DC studios in similarity to Marvel studios. Where, yeah, Disney still gets the credit. You could still get the credit. Just let DC Studio do its own self. And anyone that's not listening to the fans right now, get them out of there. But Warner Brothers, please listen to me. We loved everything Snyder had done. Well, at least his Snyder cut, right? You could say whatever you want about Batman vs. Superman or Man of Steel. But I think everyone rallied together and loved, or at least liked, Zack Snyder's Justice League. And we're interested in seeing where it went. All I'm saying is please, take your fans into consideration. Don't push us away. We're not trying to push you away. Right now, we're just throwing a fit because we're not happy with the products we're getting. But we're mainly unhappy with how you're behaving to our reaction to the product we're getting. All I can say is, please, just help us make the next 10 years the greatest. Let's turn this shit around. Let's all get together, right? Let's all just turn this shit around, get it together, and bring out the best that DC has to offer. And that is the fan perspective. See y'all later.